Welcome back. It's your guy Engineer Mojo. Today I'm working on a 2014 Dodge Durango Citadel V6. This is the front brake change. This process will be similar to all third gen Dodge Durangos 2011 to 2015. I'm not sure about newer car variations. As always, to get it started off fast, the tool list is on the screen. Tie iron, floor jack and jack stands, flathead screwdriver, 10mm hex head or 10mm Allen key, large C-clamp, brake grease, lubricant, disc brake quiet spray is optional, and of course the brake pads of your choice. This full tool list is also down below in the video description, and if I add any tools I'll be sure to add it down there. Let's get this install started. Vehicle's elevated, tires come off. I always place the tire underneath the car just for added safety. Those unfamiliar with this car, just wanted to show a quick location of where the jack reinforcement is. Good spot to locate for a hand jack. Tires removed. Quick overview of the brake pad assembly. The brake pad, retainer clip on the front edge. On the rear of the brake pad assembly, you have your two caliper pins, and they're covered by dust caps. Those are those black pieces I'm pointing to right now, and those just pop right off with your hand. I use a flathead screwdriver to give me a little leverage to pop those off, but it comes right off. Popping off the bottom as well. Very important step before going too deep into this, make sure that you go inside your engine compartment on your driver's side and pop the cap to the brake fluid reservoir. It doesn't need to come off completely, just enough to allow air passage. It will keep you from popping any seals as you're depressing the brake piston. Next, I take the 10mm hex socket with my socket wrench and I go to remove the back caliper piston bolts. To give you a rear view of what's going on there, as you see, that's the 10mm bolt that I'm going to be removing. Lefty loosey, comes right out. You may need to use a flathead screwdriver to help you remove the rest of the slide pin bolt. Just take the flathead and gently push on the edge of the bolt and it will pop right through the guide hole. Next is the removal of the retaining clip. This is not too bad. I use a needle nose plier to help me out here. You can also use a flathead screwdriver. This gives you some leverage and twist that right off. You can see my method in the video clip right now. So be sure to note the orientation of the clip because you'll have to put it back on later. With the retaining clip removed, now it's time to pull the caliper off of the brake pads. It's very easy, it slides right off. The rear brake pad actually stays onto the caliper, so just note that, and the front one stays onto the actual disc bracket. I'll show you later in the video how the rear pad clips into the brake pad assembly. Now I'll just rest this on top of the brake disc. You don't want to have too much tension on the brake line, just somewhere nice and easy out of the way. You can also use a box or something as well to hold it. Now just to remove the front brake pad, it just slides right off of the brackets. Note the orientation. You want to be able to match it up with the new pads. This is where the big C-clamp comes into play. This is where you depress the piston in your caliper housing. Now if you haven't done that important step of opening the cap to the brake fluid reservoir, go ahead and do that now before you depress anything for the pistons. But as you see, the orientation of the C-clamp clamps right on the front and the back. I use the old pad as a bearing surface. I just tighten up the C-clamp very slowly. Tighten it up, gets closer. I keep depressing and tightening the C-clamp until the piston is flush with the caliper housing. Once it's flush, you can back off the C-clamp and pull that brake pad right out of the housing. It sits right into the piston housing just with some clips, pops right off. With regular hand pressure. Here's a view of the back of the brake pads just to see how it's actually clipping into the caliper housing. Showing you a view of the new brake pads. As you see, it comes with new hardware, new front clips. It also comes with an anti-squeal backing pad on there. That's that black part. Now you can apply disc brake quiet as well. I usually do. Clean the rotors with some brake clean component. Once that's clean, now you're ready to install the new brake pads. I start with the rear pad on the caliper and that just slides right into the two holes. Easy to just do with hand pressure, it's not that bad. I rest that back on top of the rotor. From your new brakes, verify you're using the correct brake pad for the front. Always use a low pad indicator clip to tell me. That's that little small metal piece at the bottom. With the pads in place, now you can slide the caliper right over top. Easy, very easy. Next is reinstallation of the caliper pins. This is where you want to apply a good brake lubricant on there. This is applied only on the cylinder portion, not on the bolt threads. Next, you want to tighten down the caliper pins. I alternate from the top to bottom, tightening down in sequence, and I gave you the torque spec in the beginning of the video. It's about 25 foot-pounds, 24 to 25 foot-pounds. I prefer to use the Allen key when reinstalling the caliper pins, just so it's less chance of maybe stripping a thread. You're pretty much similar to hand tightening prior to going back in with the hex socket. After torquing the caliper pins to the correct spec, I go ahead and install the front clip back in place. This just slides right back in the grooves. You see there's 2 holes for the clips. It just pops right back in place. And in this video montage, you can kind of see the orientation and procedure I use just to pop it back in place. Now I will test this to make sure it's in place. I'll pull on it a little bit, just lightly, just make sure it's not loose or anything like that after I clip it in. With that done, you can do the other side of your car, and then to do the rear brakes, it's pretty much the same process, though you do have an electronic brake system that you will have to deactivate. I'll put a link down in the video description below on how to do that, but again, the process is very similar for the rear brakes. Also remember, go back and re-tighten your brake fluid reservoir cap. Make sure that's in place after you've completed all the install for the brake pads. With that said, that concludes the installation how-to for your brake pads. If you have any questions, any tips, please comment down below. I love to hear questions. I like to see if I can answer, and I also love to hear tips because it helps me become a better home mechanic. So please, especially if you have any tips, please comment down below. I love to hear those. And as always, thank you for watching. I really enjoy the YouTube community. I feel like it's helped me a lot. I'm just trying to give back by doing a few how-to videos on stuff I know how to do. Thanks again for watching. This is your guy, Engineer Mojo. I am out.